Hello everyone and welcome back. In our last video, we celebrated our new purchase of land in some Arizona desert. And then we were back on our way from whence we came back up to Nevada. It was quite a beautiful drive with all of these spring flowers and sagebrush in full bloom. Eventually we made it to Searchlight, which is where we stayed for a couple of days before we headed on out and back into civilization once more. This time we were headed towards Las Vegas, but this would not be our destination for a couple more days. We started to head out towards the Lake Mead Recreation Area, which is quite a drive in itself. I'll have you take a look at some of the footage we were able to shoot on this drive. It was quite a beautiful and scenic way to get where we needed to. I love nothing more than some nice red rock formations, so we decided to pull over and stretch our legs at a stopping point and just kind of take everything in. We just had so much fun exploring. I even climbed up on a couple of them just to kind of get a nice view. Vinny and Paul had to stay at the bottom, unfortunately. But these are quite amazing. Apparently they were originally very old sand dunes that have eroded away over the years, and eventually they will go back to whence they came and become sand once more. Kind of interesting. But we were back on the road and headed towards where we would be staying for the next week or so. We found a spot of BLM on the Sand Mine Road, which came with a very interesting feature of a canyon right next to us, as well as just beautiful views all around. This here is just a quick overview of what our full camp setup was like. So we have all of our tents out. And we were very close on the edge to this canyon. Might make a little bit of folks a little squeamish. The next few days brought some overcast skies and some quite chilly weather. We hung around inside for a little bit, but eventually got some cabin fever and decided to go out and explore. This time we went down into the canyon to kind of look around and explore and see what there was. I could have probably walked for miles exploring each and every turn of the canyon with all the different views that it brought, but we decided to eventually head back to camp. We eventually wrapped up our time at that wonderful location and headed down into the town of Overton, where we were able to get some laundry finished up, and then we were headed onwards towards a very rainy Las Vegas. The next morning, after staying at a Cracker Barrel, we decided to head on out and go check into our hotel. We stayed at the Gold Coast because they have really excellent parking and aren't too far away from the Strip. If you can fit into the parking garage, is great. We unfortunately cannot, but we did find some spaces that were in their open lot, which worked out perfect. Later that evening, to celebrate Paul's 40th, we went out to Kura Sushi. This is a conveyor belt type of sushi joint. It was very fascinating, to say the least.
Middle-aged man that's very confused.
It took a little getting used to, but eventually we figured it out and were able to indulge in a couple of interesting things. If you don't see anything on the conveyor line, you can also order them and they send it directly to you on that top conveyor belt. They have some hot items. These were the takoyaki, and they also have dessert if you have enough room. Overall, it was a nice and fun experience to have something like this in the US. I know they are very well known in Japan, so it was a nice, pleasant evening out and some delicious sushi. Afterwards, we headed off to one of our favorite tiki bars, which is Golden Tiki, where they have this wonderful version of an adult Dole Whip. And it is so good. I remember it from so many years ago, and it was just great. After the adult libations, we decided to head back to Gold Coast for some late night bowling. And the next morning we were off to explore a little bit more Vegas, this time taking Paul to a place that he probably remembers very well, which is the Circus Hotel and Casino. To be quite honest, Circus was very interesting, but as I was speaking to Paul, he told me that, to be honest, not much has changed within the past 20 years that he had last been here. And there was some good, some bad, and a lot of ugly. But Paul and I do appreciate some of these older joints. In fact, they actually still had the rotating levels here. A lot of you may remember one of the scenes from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. This is the horse around bar where that took place or was inspired from. So that was really cool to see it up and working. But we had enough and decided to head onwards this time for some lunch over at the Peppermill, which was just a hop and a skip away from the casino. It was overall mighty tasty, but it did have those gouging Vegas prices. Later that evening, we were off to something more exciting, which was the Meow Wolf installation within Vegas, or also known as the Omega Mart. And this place was very fascinating. A lot of really wonderful installations from a lot of the familiar Meow Wolf artists here. It's a great way to kind of spend an evening just kind of wandering around, even if you don't want to participate in the storyline or the mystery aspect of it. There's a lot of really great and inspiring things you can pick up along the way from a lot of the artists that worked very hard on this. The lighting features were probably the winner on this Meow Wolf location. We had been previously to the Meow Wolf, the original in Santa Fe, which is probably still my favorite in rankings, but overall this was also a great and wonderful time as well. But with that, my friends, I will leave you for another time in another episode. Thanks for watching. Take care, my friends.